En fait, déjà,
Elles sont marines des neiges, compliqué les deux. OK.
Okay, we are going to start. Just before, I want to tell you that we have a tour bus. The bus leaves at 4:45, just a bit before traffic. It's a red bus with an open roof. So it's a 1-hour city tour. And then we go to the Ozone Bar, which is in the old town, not exactly the side of it. And then we have to find our way back by foot, by cab, by bus. So we can arrange that when we are there.
it's an authentic problem.
It's an authentic problem in a real context. Yeah. Okay.
Here's the rip off.
Okay, the red bus has an open roof, and it's nice outside. 80 people in the same bus. We leave at 4:45.
Where does it leave from?
Just here from outside the building. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Bruce, it's all up to you.
Thank you. So we're the only thing holding you from the city tour and the bar. So, so here we go. Thank you for being here. We're excited to be here. Excited to be at Quebec City, and excited to be talking at you for a few minutes, and then listening to you, we hope, towards the end of this hour and a half. So get ready to give us some input. That's where we'll end. We're here to tell you a story of a partnership that began earlier this year and that is just now unfolding. And before we tell you that, we'll tell you a little bit about our province of Ontario, right next door to Quebec. Ontario is a very populous province with 40% of the population of the country in it. It's densely populated at the south, as you can see on the map, and very, 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 very sparsely populated for most of the province of Ontario. We have 2.1 million students spread out over the province, 5,000 schools organized in school boards of 72 school boards across the province. 60% of the immigrants that come to Canada come to Ontario. 65% of the 225,000 immigrants. So of our 2.1 million students, 27% of them currently this year were born outside the country. This was shown this morning and mentioned this morning, and we had a little bit of practice pronouncing it around the room. But this is the story of our son, I should say. It's the story of the power of school, university, and government partnership. And, we certainly feel that we're designing it as we go, but it's certainly been a very successful story so far. I'm Bruce Shaw, a director, as Marlene mentioned, with the Literacy and Numeracy Secretariat of the Student Achievement Division of the Ministry of Education in Ontario. And as the name implies, Student Achievement Division is tasked with the student performance of the province. So supporting teachers, principals, school leaders at the district level and provincially around student achievement. Some of the other people from the ministry who will be with me presenting today, Elaine Hine over here, and our consultant, Dennis Micah. Elaine is currently a Student Achievement Officer, and Dennis is a former Student Achievement Officer. And of course, Marlene and Monica are part of our story, and they'll be presenting actually right after myself. And then Marlene talked this morning about the Principals Associations. And in the province of Ontario, there are 3 principal associations, a French language, an English public, and an English Catholic. And Jeanette Huard is here from the French, Mary Cordero, Ontario Catholic, and Linda Massey. So you're going to hear from all of these people over the course of the next little while. Before I talk about the song or that story, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Ontario story, and that is the improvement journey over the last 10 or 11 years. Over this period of time, we've had a very stable government in the province of Ontario, and we've had basically 3 goals to focus on. They have not changed in that period of time, which is a little bit unusual in terms of politics, for certain. We've been able to focus on high levels of student achievement. And when we're talking about 75% of students with high literacy and numeracy skill by age 12, that's our grade 6, so it's almost through the elementary years. We're talking about a high standard of literacy, not a basic standard of literacy. The other goal at the secondary level is to achieve 85% of our students beginning high school and graduating within a 5-year period. The second goal is reducing gaps, and we've had some success in that as well, and increasing public confidence in our education system, because we do have 95% of the population attending our public schools. This just gives you a snapshot of the elementary progress over the period 2003 to last year, 2012-13. And during this month, we received results for the past year. So we'll know what's happened in the last year. And on the right, your right, 4 of the key levers that we found through our work that has affected the reform agenda. And that's improving classroom teaching and learning, improving school effectiveness, leadership capacity building. You're going to hear about that to some degree from our Principals Associations, our reps, and the research and evaluation component. And of course, you'll hear more about that from us and the conferences. A great deal of it is around the research as well. This is just a longer list of levers for school reform that are in the literature and that we pay some attention to. Number 5 is one that's particularly pertinent to us for us today. Some of the research that we are involved in is inside government research. So we have our own research department within the ministry, within the government as a whole, and within the Literacy and Numeracy Secretariat and the Student Achievement Division. So we're constantly looking at initiatives and doing our own research. Then there's research conducted by the district school boards, which we are privy to because we work in partnership with them. And then, of course, we hire academics from outside of government, from universities, to do research components that are predominantly around evaluation of our initiatives and our programs. And then, of course, there's the broader education research, which we we use as a basis for a lot of our work. Over the course of the end of last year and early this year, our government embarked on a consulting opportunity for the residents and of the province, and certainly for the stakeholders in the education system, to have a look at those 3 goals that I mentioned before and renew them with new advice around where we should be heading with education in the province. And as our new government takes over a 4-year mandate, which just started in June, around the middle of June, they've tasked the Education Ministry with implementing the new vision. So the new vision has 4 goals. The 3 goals that I mentioned before are subsumed in these 4. Achieving excellence is the first one. Students of all ages will achieve high levels of academic performance, acquire valuable skills, and demonstrate good citizenship. Equity. Students will be inspired to reach their full potential with access to rich learning experiences that begin at birth and continue into adulthood. Promoting well-being. Students will develop enhanced mental and physical health, a positive sense of self and belonging, and the skills to make positive choices in their lives. And enhancing public confidence, some of the subtext is Ontarians will continue to have confidence in a publicly funded education system that helps develop new generations of confident, capable, and caring citizens. When we had a look at knowledge building principles, and in an early meeting with Marlene, I guess about a year ago now, or a little bit after that, and we started really looking at the principles of knowledge building. Then we had a renewed vision. There's a real connection between the two, and I've highlighted 3 of them here. Real ideas and authentic problems. We know that children are motivated and engaged in their learning when the tasks they toil over are relevant to their lives. And we know that if that happens, then their achievement soars. Community knowledge, collective responsibility, and democratizing knowledge. We want our students to develop into confident, capable, and caring citizens, as I mentioned when I mentioned the fourth goal in the renewed vision. So we're involved really as a government agency as a means to field test and really to evaluate in real classroom situations what this might look like and the results or the outcomes that we might be able to establish and proceed with across the province, perhaps at some point in time. That gives you a little bit of background about our partnership, and now I'm going to turn it over to the university section of SUNG.
Hi everybody, my name is Monica Resendez. I work at with Marlene and Carl and the core team there. And I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the role that our team at the university has been playing in the initiatives that have been advanced by the Ministry of Education and the Ontario Principals Council. So just a little background for those of you who might not be familiar. At IKIT, we work with researchers, generally a handful of graduate students at the master's and the PhD levels, a team of programmers and developers that are working on Knowledge Forum and tools for Knowledge Forum, as well as a sort of a rotating schedule of visiting scholars that often come in, and within the larger international network at events like the Summer Institutes every year and other meetings. And so we really try to engage all members of the team in parts of the project as we're learning more about it and as we're engaging more with the Ontario Principals Councils and people from the ministry and in the schools themselves throughout Ontario. Of course, we've been working for a long time, IKIT much longer than I've been around there, in partnership with now the Dr. Eric Jackman Institute of Child Study. And in particular, Richard Messina has been offering some really amazing support in this work as we go forward, making links between the university, the lab school at ICS, or EJICS, and on schools throughout boards in Ontario. Okay, so some of the ways that we've been involved in what's been going on in the province, and we're going to be hearing a little bit more about each of these components, I think, as Linda and Mary and Dennis and Elaine come on to talk about the different projects. So we've been involved in what's called the Leading Student Achievement Initiative that is supported by the Ontario Principals Council, and also a tri-board project, which is a more research-intensive project. And they're both focused on enhancing knowledge-building initiatives throughout school boards in Ontario. And so we've been invited to be involved in some components of the LSA project that have been in place, I think, for many years and that are really successful in helping to spread workshops and different projects that LSA promotes. And for the ones we've been involved in, of course, they've been around knowledge building and knowledge forum. So throughout the year, LSA puts on different webinars. So this connects practitioners, teachers, principals, administrators from throughout Ontario to virtually connect and participate in sort of virtual workshops, connecting together and asking questions and getting feedback. And so Richard has put on a presentation at one of these webinars. Marlene's been on. I've been on once, and Glenn Wagner as well, who's a teacher in Ontario. So we can start to connect with researchers that are learning more about knowledge building in the field throughout the entire province. Also, we've been involved in regional sessions and symposia where these same participants are coming and can discuss and talk to each other face to face. And I think one of the really exciting parts of our involvement in the project so far is being able to actually go out to different schools throughout different boards in the province and meet with teachers and principals who are, some of them are completely new to knowledge building, and we're sort of introducing them to knowledge building and knowledge form for the very first time. Other teachers have been thinking about these ideas for a while, maybe not necessarily calling it knowledge building, but now we're introducing this language that they're putting on things that they've been thinking about for a long time. And we get to, and so meet and talk with teachers and principals in all of these different contexts in schools. Also meet with their other, like, existing support systems, so the student achievement officers that are already working and know the administrators in that division and know their boards and know the students and the parents. And we can offer continuing support for knowledge building and work with Knowledge Forum. We even once or twice get to work with the students. So there will be some teachers who will say, you know, okay, just give me, I'll test out Knowledge Forum, I'll just try it in my classroom. And they've brought their students over when Dennis, Elaine, and I have been at school sites, and they'll bring their students to the lab, and we can see them working on Knowledge Forum. And those are the times, too, when we can walk around and say, do you have ideas? Why do you like this? Or what would you wish this could do? And there's never a shortage of students that want to tell us their ideas and what they think and what excites them about it, or what, like, cool feature they want in it. And teachers, too. So we're able to have this sort of interaction with educators and students in the field at a scale I'm not sure whether we've had that before in Ontario. So it's really, really exciting work, and we're lucky enough to be engaging in it fully the next year, over the next 12 months. And we're also able to interact with the particular school board research teams. So Marlene mentioned earlier this morning about the tri-board project. It's a stream within well, I don't know if the stream within is the best way to frame it, but there's the Leading Student Achievement Initiative focused on knowledge building. And then there's a tri-board project, so 3 school boards within Ontario conducting research on the teachers and the students in their particular boards around knowledge building and knowledge forum. So we get to liaise with the researchers in the boards and see what kind of research they're doing. That's basically sort of engaging and talking with the same teachers and students that we're working with. So we get to sort of collaborate in this respect on a research basis. So just quickly to go over what we're hoping to do in the next 12 months, and some of this might take on a little bit more context as we discuss the 2 initiatives, but we're thinking about ways of better supporting the teachers, the students, and the administrators involved in the Leading Student Achievement Project. So we've all, and Marlene too, when she came back from visiting Brazil, Cesar Nunez, he's not in here right now, is he? Coming? He's online, okay. So he has been doing really exciting stuff in terms of developing a professional learning network throughout Sao Paulo in Brazil. And so we're really trying to see what will work in an Ontario context for helping teachers sort of like gravitate towards really exciting, promising ideas and promising practices, and how can we help scale and spread those. So developing professional learning networks, engaging all the participants in the initiatives as co-designers. So this idea about having students, their requests and their needs and their wants, how can we take that from the field and sort of bring them to the table, so when we have research meetings at IKIT, the developers can hear straight from the field, straight from the users, their ideas for improvement, their concerns, issues about interface, anything that you could possibly think of that has to do with development and implementation and testing of the software. And also what theoretical advances can help inform the adoption and spread of knowledge building in the process. And Marlene, I think you mentioned earlier in the presentation, you were talking about the different trajectories or models moving from inquiry to knowledge creation. And some of the discoveries we've made through working with the teachers and principals and representatives from the ministry and OPC is bringing to light sort of taking more of these abstract ideas and saying, okay, what's actually happening as teachers are trying to move from inquiry-based learning towards a knowledge creation practice in their classroom. I'm not sure if you want to elaborate on any of these or right now. That's the next slide, but no?
No, I think we talked about those this morning.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
Okay, so that's our role in the initiative, and now I'm going to turn it over to Linda Massey from the Ontario Principals Council. Sure, actually, sorry, before that, are there any questions that anybody has for me? I always get these useful props from Elaine. Sanderson Elaine.
We're actually going to have time at the end for a big discussion, and Blaine's going to lead that, and I don't think you'll be surprised by that. So I'm Linda Massey, and I have to find out how to put this. There we go. Now, Jeanette is with our French language districts, and Mary here, Cadero, is with our Catholic, and I'm with the public, but three of us are retired principals. And our associations have hired us to be coordinators for the LSA project. And the LSA project actually started 10 years ago. And our associations have only been in existence for 15 years. And each of our associations have professional development wings. And 10 years ago, and Dennis was on the team that put the first proposal to the ministry, that the three principal associations had an idea of a way in which to build leadership capacity through working with principals and as a partnership. And that's what happened with us, because we presented this proposal to the ministry. It was called the Leading Student Achievement Project. Originally, it was called our Principal Purpose. Now it's called Networks for Learning. And with that project, we've had quite a journey and quite a story. And within this, I think one of the key features of it is it's a collaborative partnership, and between the ministry, the three principal associations, and our support from Curriculum Services Canada, we do our online work and our website and everything like that, we have created a synergy within the province. And as you can see, we have these 5 partners, and working together, we have grown over these 10 years. So here, if we look back 10 years ago, back to 2005, you'll see we had, of the 72 districts in Ontario, we had 22 participating, and it's voluntary. So it's a project. It has research within it. So we had 22 to start out with, just under 1,000 principals and their schools participating. Now, in the coming year, which we have had approval for, we're going to have over 3,000 principals and schools involved in the project, and we're up to 57 of the 72 districts. So when we work with our districts, we're reaching the north, the south, the east, and the west. We're going thousands of miles. We're having principals and vice principals and leaders, teachers meet together around our particular initiatives. And this is our graphic, this triple N, because we call ourselves a multi-level project. And I think if we look where we started, which is in the right, my right side, the district, a circle where the principal associations
said, we think if we put our principals in principal learning teams, small groups of principals within their districts, and then we provide them with activities around building their leadership capacity as instructional leaders, then we are going to be supporting the Ontario priorities in terms of improving student achievement. And that's why our project is called Leading Student Achievement. And if you look to the circle on the left side here, the whole reason why we want to work with our principal learning teams is to help them to be better instructional leaders and work within schools to create professional learning communities. And it gets right down to teacher teams. And of course, teacher teams, if we can't improve teacher instructional practice, then how can we support, as principals, how can we support improvement in the classroom itself? So that is the way in which that district and school piece interact together. But it wouldn't happen without the provincial level in our partnership with the Ministry of Education, because the project would not be happening without the funding from the ministry and their vision and their work with us to support us through this particular process. And that's the other circle when we say province here. And the principal associations are not-for-profit associations, so that if we did not have this funding from the Ministry of Education, this would not be happening. And if we did not have accountability to the Ministry of Education, this would not be happening. So the whole partnership piece is so important, and now having a partnership which includes Marlene and Monica and their team from OISE has contributed another level in terms of our work with our principals. And as we move on here to the next portion and part of our accountability itself, and I'll be coming back to talk about a specific initiative in a couple of minutes, I just want to let you know that for those of you who might be interested to know more specifically about the project itself, I'm going to leave on the front chairs here. We have last year's brochure. And this is a new initiative for the Leading Student Achievement Project. So our new brochure reflects our involvement with the Knowledge Building Initiative and is within the brochure itself. This was created last summer before we knew whether we were going to be so deeply involved with knowledge building and knowledge forum. So this is the old brochure. And also, you might be interested, we have a little brief history of the LSA project from 2005 to 2014, and I'm going to put this down here as well. And later on, you'll be getting our website. So if you wanted more information about how the project works with the principal associations, how this partnership is just creates such a synergy with the ministry, with the 3 principal associations working together, with the support of curriculum services, and now with the specific knowledge building initiative added to our other initiatives, how well that works, bringing in the knowledge building principles and knowledge forum. So Mary.
Good afternoon, everyone. I knew when I walked in this morning that we were in for some exciting learning. When we heard children's voices and saw the little blue shirts, we thought, you know what, this is what it's all about eventually, whether we're working with different tools, data, whether we're working with principals or ministries, it's all about eventually supporting our students in their achievement and well-being. So we knew it was a good day. I'd also like to say that I feel so privileged to be here to talk to you and to learn from you and with you. We've chatted in the hall and over lunch about your experiences, your wonderful experiences, very different contexts, but we really feel that we would like to share what we've experienced in Ontario, but also learn from you. So thank you so much for the invitation and for being here. So I'm going to talk to you just briefly about the research component. And I'm not going to say a lot because obviously I think that we have the leaders in the room. I think everyone who's spoken has spoken about the value of data and research. And from the beginning, the Leading Student Achievement Project, the decisions were data-driven. We're very privileged to have Dr. Ken Leithwood. He has worked with Marlene and Carl at the University of Toronto, and he is world-renowned. He's an international researcher, and he's been our guide. He's kept our feet to the fire, and when we're wavering, he says, "Oh, but that's not what that's not what the data is telling us. Let's look at this again." But very respectful of our participants. And I had a conversation at lunch today about do we really need data? Somebody just asked that question. And we have found that for large-scale reform, that we do need to have data. It's about accountability, but it's also about knowing that we're making right decisions, and that we're moving forward in the right direction. And so this is a quote taken from one of it's fairly recent last year. One of Ken's reports. He does report to the associations, to LSA, and then of course to the ministry, about his findings. And so he has found that, the fact that we've really kept our support focused on the principals, and eventually, we involve system leaders as well, which are the people at the district level or the board level, and of course our teachers who are in the classroom and our students. But this is what we're targeting because we are a principals association. So if we can support our principals in providing instructional leadership, and hopefully this will get down to the classroom. But this is what he has said about our approach to leadership development. So we feel very honored by that, and we feel that it's what Ken is telling us, but also what our participants are telling us. Linda said it's invitational. Nobody needs to be in this project. They're invited to come on board if they want to learn with us and to explore some of this new learning. And many of them, if you look at the numbers, 57 districts out of 72, that is amazing. Everybody's busy, and they can say, "I'm too busy for that." But they're really eager. And now with this new initiative, knowledge building, we have quite a few that really want to, get on the wagon with us and really do some of this work to find out, how do you do better inquiry? What is it that we're missing? So this is Ken Leithwood, and if you go on our website and the other resources that we'll provide you, will see how to get more information on that. So Action Research, our project, and we always talk about the research into practice and practice into research. When I first came into the project, educators kind of thought, well, those are the researchers. They're doing all the numbers things. We are teachers. But you know what? It's coming together. They know now researchers need practitioners and practitioners need researchers. So that's all been, we've learned this along the way. It really has evolved and it has changed. Ken has realized that if we're going to do knowledge building, because I know this is what the group is very interested in, we need to really target research in that area. And when I share the theory of action with you, you'll see that we've added knowledge building. And the interviews that were conducted this year, because the tools we have surveys, we have interviews, there are many stories that are written that are just as valuable from teachers, from principals, and from district leaders about how the Leading Student Achievement Project has helped them become more effective. So all that is good data. And we're going to really focus next year on the knowledge building, because we know that that is an area we need to have more information about. Oh, I'm going in the opposite direction. There you go. All right, so this is our theory of action. And it keeps changing every year, which is a good thing, because it keeps evolving. And the one that you will see in our brochure does not have the knowledge building and doesn't have, I don't think, the interactive technologies under organizational path. This is very much, again, based on research. We look at the LSA initiatives, like how are we supporting principals? And again, this is from the principal's perspective. How are we supporting principals in developing leadership skills? We do have that the Ontario Leadership Framework is a very good document that has been produced for Ontario talking to principals and system leaders about capacity. How do you develop capacity to become a more effective leader in a school, an instructional leader in particular? So we have 4 paths, and under those 4 paths we have conditions, learning conditions that research has found really does improve student achievement and well-being. Now, principals or teams do not select all of them. They pick 1 or 2, or the ones that they feel really would impact on their school. This is often based on data, and then they select which ones they're going to work on. They're very interrelated anyway. If you work on academic emphasis, your disciplinary climate is going to improve because kids are going to be engaged. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that, but I think that this is, we always go back to this. When we're making decisions, we always go back and say, this is at the heart of leading student achievement. Do we need to add anything to it? Are we, indeed doing what, we know is good practice? And Ken always says, and we truly believe this, that an effective theory of action is really a powerful tool for practice. So, all right. So our structure, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. When we created Leading Student Achievement, and that was before my time, but the structure was to create principal learning teams. And we didn't say, well, these are the people who should be working together. It should be a team of 10. It was really up to the people who were involved in this to decide what worked for them. So it might be 3 principals. In some places it was geographical. That's how they organized because of distance. Now we have technology that really helps us with that. But most of the time we found that this was very effective if people organized based on needs. I have an interest in learning more about knowledge building. There's a principal, in that school, elementary, secondary. So that's kind of how the principal learning teams came to be. The other thing too, and I'd like to reiterate that because I think it demonstrates respect for our participants. We're not going to tell them. Really, it is based on what they want to learn about, and that's how we're going to get ownership and engagement. It's not as saying, this is what you should focus. Even with the knowledge building, it's out there. If you would like to join us on the journey, come on board. We'll support you. We'll provide, as many supports as we can. But the work is really yours. And so we do encourage a lot of discourse. We talked a lot about discourse here. Principals talking to principals about challenges of leadership, because it's a little different. The role of a principal is not to be in a classroom teaching. That's the teacher's role. And, principals may not even know enough about that. Their role is to influence teachers and to support them. And so we've been involved in that. I know that there are principal learning teams now that have teacher leaders involved. And they have their, system leaders involved in their work. So, and we usually have a team leader, we have then team members, but it really is the work of all the principals who are taking charge of their own learning. And I heard today, and this is what we're doing with this, is that they become then creators as opposed to just, going to workshops and professional learning and bringing things back to the school. They're actually creating the learning, which I think is very valuable. And it is an adult model. I know that we had a lot of talk today about classroom knowledge building, but this is adult knowledge building. Teachers need to talk to teachers. Principals need to talk to principals, and they need to talk to one another about this work. So we're hoping to take this to another level. So we're going to share just, I think, 3 short little stories with you that demonstrate to you, hopefully, how we work and how we hope to keep expanding the project. So when we got into knowledge building, we had Marlene and Monica come present a virtual session, and we thought, we need to move knowledge building to principal learning teams. They were doing a lot of work on collaborative inquiry and other items, but knowledge building really, we hadn't supported them in that work. So we asked for volunteers. And we had some volunteers in the northwest of Ontario, and these are quite remote schools. There's a lot of geographical challenges and weather challenges in the north. And they're fairly small boards. Sometimes the supports are not there. So they decided to volunteer, and it wasn't the whole board again. It wasn't as if a superintendent or the ministry said, this whole board will be involved. Again, it was people within the board, principals who said, you know, I'm really curious about this. And I have a couple of teachers that might join me. So you know what, I'd like to learn more about it. So the purpose is there. It was invitational to those that wanted to come on board and learn with us. The supports that we provide, we say to people, you know, you have to take the learning on. We can't do the learning for you, but we will support you. You'll have to let us know what your needs are, and we get that through our data, but speaking to people as well. And so we have LSA district facilitators. These are retired principals, and all 3 associations have facilitators. And what they will do is go out and work with the teams and support the teams. And in the north, we actually have some of our facilitators, besides Monica, who has been up to set up a knowledge forum for them. We have our district facilitators working with those teams to help them and to move their learning forward. We have, besides the knowledge forum, we have technologies. And I think that you will later on will have a slide where we have web networks with over 3,000 participants. They can form groups on that and talk to other colleagues, even internationally. So there are a lot of supports out. We have virtual sessions. Ministry, I think the beauty of this project is that we really do have a great partnership. It's not perfect, but we really work together, and we have a common goal. It's not about, you know, each principals association or about the ministry. It really is about supporting students. So. And we have district resources. So again, the boards have to provide resources to the people who are doing this work. And then we have all kinds of LSA sessions. And Monica has mentioned some, but we have symposia, we have regional sessions, we have virtual sessions, and we keep creating them as the emergent needs arise. All right. So we have 3 boards in the north. We have Thunder Bay Catholic, and again, you'll notice there's Catholic and public. It shouldn't really matter. You know, these are people who are willing to work together, and they are in the Thunder Bay, the city of Thunder Bay. And we also have Lakehead District School Board. It's a public board. They're also in Thunder Bay, and they work with the public schools. And Kiwat and Patricia, which is again in the north. So these 3 boards have people within their boards that want to do this work and help us with the pilot. Principals and vice principals are involved, both team leaders and team members. They have a little bit of a different role, but so sometimes not a whole principal learning team will be involved in the pilot. It's just those that are interested in really moving knowledge building to the principal learning teams. We involve teacher leaders. We know they're vital. Principals need that support, and these people have a really good pulse on what's happening in the classroom. And then we have our LSA system leaders, our board representatives. Principals can't do it alone. They have to have support from their districts and from their boards if they're going to be able to move this work forward. And so what we're hoping to get from this is, what are our next steps? We're starting really small, really focused with those people who are interested. What are we going to learn? We're going to do some research around this. What are we going to learn from this team so that we can go deeper with this work and spread this knowledge? Thank you. Jeanette?
Mary said when she walked in here that she felt that the energy of the children would be great. For me, the first thing I noticed that I was not the only one with a very strong accent when I speak English. Was I ever relieved? Finally, I'm not alone. By the way, Mary was talking about facilitators. We have Lise Kingsbury that works with me, and in our French school board, so I'm very happy that she's with me, because for sure we're smaller, because we're a minority, but we're very strong minority. We have 12 school boards in French area, like all over the province, and 9 of the 12 are involved in LSA. For sure, knowledge building, knowledge creation, knowledge forums, we have to be honest, we just started this year. Like I was discussing with you at lunch, I don't remember your name, from Barcelona.
Mireia Montaner.
Oh, I wish I could pronounce that. I'm not sure I can repeat that.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
Montaner.
Okay, I have to learn Spanish, really. She was telling me that in Barcelona, they've been doing that for 10 years, and it's not there yet. So, oh my God, I feel very bad right now, because we're always eager to do everything. Yeah, exactly. We're always eager to do everything now, and we want to grab it now, but it's not going to happen. It's going to take time. It's a change, and I really appreciate the discussion I had with you. That's why I like in a forum like that to meet people from all over. The real stories that I picked for today are stories that are from the northern area also. And why I chose the 2 schools, it's because they're going to do something else next year, more in the knowledge building, knowledge creation, knowledge forum context. This year they went further with the collaborative inquiry, got the initiation with all the principles of knowledge building, and they're going to be involved next year with the Therese's team, because I know some of our people are going to meet the Crystal that was responsible with 3 small schools that would like to have some information and really enjoy the sharing with the people from Quebec that have been doing that for so many years. So the first school that I'm talking about is an elementary school with grade 2 students, and they really worked on improving reading in grade 2. What Mary said, it's all about improvement, well-being, always with our theory of action. And what they've done there, they use data all the time. The discussions between or within the group of principals is always very, very solid because they have data. They have real student works. They analyze. They try to find strategies that will work. They try it. They come back. They discuss. The principal teams are very important, but the teachers' learning teams are too. So they are working very, very well together. And there's been a lot of improvement. They have great results in the reading improvement. And that was the rational path of our theory of action. The second one is still from the same school board, but a secondary school. And they were working in the emotional path. They didn't have good attendance at the school. They had problems with motivation and all that. So they wanted to make sure that the kids were there on time in the morning, that would be happy with the type of instruction they were receiving from the classroom, the teachers. And then at the end of it, they wanted to have a greater rate of graduation so that people would have their diploma at the end of their high school. And they put on place a lot of strategies, and they had amazing results. Like kids being there before time, being involved in the school, wanted to work, but they had to work on the school culture a lot. The climate and the culture. Everybody was supposed to be positive, trying to find solutions instead of looking for always to blame. Look at the problem and look for solutions. So they had a great success with that type of work that they've done. And then we saw the light. And the light was Thérèse Lafrenière. Because I'm sure you understand that when you're a small population of French-speaking people from everywhere in the world, not just from Ontario, but from everywhere in the world, we have a lot of the first documentation that we get is always in English, that's for sure. It's the same thing if you go to another country, come in Quebec, it's going to be more in French. It's the same story, but that's part of being in the minority. But we have a lot of translations that have been provided to us for all the books or articles, but we needed more than that. We needed, I didn't know that it was like, I didn't know knowledge building before, so I didn't know that Therese had been working on it for 15 years. And Marlene said, oh my God, there's some people in Quebec, you're doing great work. So I said, oh, we're originally from Quebec, okay, not from the province, not from here, from the province. I was really good to talk to her. And we started a partnership. It's more than a collaboration, it's really a partnership. And we're working on creating like knowledge for run in French. We're going to use some tools that we use with our students. So that's what it is when you were talking, Marlene, about the community getting together. I think that's what we're doing right now with the Therese. She was very important to us this year. She gives us, we feel strong when she's there, because she has all she's a researcher, she has the base, she understands what she's talking about, she's been there. She has an excellent, amazing team working with her, and they've been so giving, like you wouldn't believe this. They've been there for us all the time, and that's why next year we're going to go for this because of that. I have to say thank you to all the team for the work you've done with us this year. We didn't just participate, or she didn't just participate in virtual sessions or symposium, or she was part of it. We discussed together, we took decisions together, and then she took the floor with the mic. She was the boss. So, and she was doing very well. So, we're going to continue that with the guys now next year and all that group. But what's going to be exciting now is that we're going to have probably more schools involved, and that we understand better what it is ourselves. But the principal, the school boards, and the teachers that will be part of it, I'm sure, are going to be very, very happy to have a French math person coming and explain to them, and not just explaining, but questioning and working as a partner. So we're looking forward to next year because we want to have more classrooms, and that's the French story. But don't forget, before you leave, we have our bilingual plans. We have our website in French and in English on it, so you're welcome to come and talk to me. We have a little bit for you. Thank you.
I was going to speak very briefly about one other group, actual one principal learning team of 3 secondary, here we are. One principal learning team in our Upper Grand District School Board, who last year took on knowledge building. They've been at the symposium, and they had a teacher leader present in their board who've been working in the area. Len Wagner had been working at Boise and with Jackman Institute, who do a lot about knowledge building and knowledge form. And we had 3 secondary principals and 1 public school principal decided in their team that they were exploring knowledge building. And they sought and got support from us and developed and worked with their teachers. And the thing about part of our research, and Ken leads this for us, is that we create stories, publication. I just brought this one, but this is, we've had 2 publications. 2 years ago we had Real Stories, How LSA Participation Has Improved Leadership, Teaching, and Student Achievement. Well, this year we published more Real Stories, and I think next year we'll do even more Real Stories. But why I wanted to bring this to your attention is because Upper Grand wrote about their experience with the first steps of going through knowledge building, and how they met, how they worked with the teachers, how they were involved with LSA, how they were involved with Monica, Len. And this is an interesting story if you're in the doing kind of work that we're doing, which is implementing knowledge building and getting it to spread. And so that's a very instructive story, along with the other stories from LSA. These are just a couple of quotations from the opening paragraph of their story. They had multi-departments across schools, across town. That means elementary and secondary school teachers working on knowledge building projects in the classroom. And as well, they worked on, oops, let me go back then. They also worked with their district. They presented to their whole district, and then they presented our symposium in May. So when we work with our principal learning teams, if we see things that are happening, we ask them to share with the other participants in the project itself. So that's a very good way of getting people and spreading it throughout our project itself. Now there's another wonderful pilot project going on, the Tri-Board project, and we have Dennis and Elaine to describe that particular project.
Thanks very much, Linda.
Sorry, these are our websites for the project itself. And if you get the brochure, you can also get the websites and the pin from Jeanette have the websites on it.
Thanks very much, Linda, for mentioning the Tri-Board project. That's what we'd like to talk to you about today. It's a pre-pilot project this year. But our question is,
teacher does a fine.
how can you not be moved? How can you not be transformed? How do you not think about changing life choices and chances for students when we're doing this kind of work? And what we found was, it just didn't happen within the classroom, but it's now spilling over into the parent community. So this is going to be our story, a very brief overview. But listen to what the parents had to say about what they saw in their children that changed relationships forever.
The teacher does a fine job of introducing certain things to them and letting them go out, motivating them to go out there and discover it, and then bring back their research work, through them into the class and discuss it. And from that, they also learn, I think, from one another, and it expands their way of thinking. Usually, when he comes home, he has so many things going on in his mind as a child, of course, and developing at this age. He does his homework, he does other extra activities within the house, chores, and outside as well. But since this program was started, I have found that he actually engages quite a bit in doing extra work on what he has been learning in school, either that day or in the course of the week, which is something that has added to his own self-discipline in terms of learning a little more each day, each time on what they have been introduced in the classroom. There is more to it in the sense of how this actually applies to the children. Because right now, they're in a more modern age, a lot of things are going around in terms of not only learning, but also affairs in the world. And this actually brings them to really closeness, proximity to what is going around them and how they can best get involved and learn from it. He has been able to explain the things that he's actually doing with what he's seeing in the real world. That aspect of it brings me to what they have been learning in school, what did you guys learn, so we are doing this, we are doing that, which actually helps another or further discussions on what they learn in the schools. I have seen quite an encouragement and a motivation to do more from being a shy boy to what he is right now.
It's definitely made an impact with my connection with the school, just in conversations with the teachers and hearing about the curriculum and hearing about the way that my son is learning. In terms of the before and the after, I think lately Aiden's been doing more. Well, he'll share his thoughts more. He'll come home and he'll share his knowledge more, which to me tells me that he's been learning more, or he's more excited about learning. The engagement in learning is greater. I think it's a great way to learn when you're learning with a group of people and you're listening to people's thoughts and you're listening to others' answers about those, their inquiries or whatnot. And I think I see that at home too, with how he's inquisitive about certain things, and then taking his questions and finding out what the answers are, whether it's through the internet or asking questions of us.
The teacher does a fine job of introducing.
So we thought, just given the time, that we would talk to you about two pieces. The type of work that we've been doing, we started to build the website, which we'll share with you. And we owe a debt of gratitude to Bruce for his support through it, through the Principals Association, to Richard, Elizabeth, the Jackman Center, and the teachers and students and parents in Ontario. Because they're helping us to uncover and to tell the story. We do owe the biggest debt of gratitude to Carl and Marlene. If the world did not have this type of thinking that we're now ready for, we would not be in a position to be able to change relationships. This is bigger than schools. We know that. This is about how we transform individuals to become the best that they can be, to contribute to the community, but that community involvement ends up with contributing to a bank of knowledge that's there to improve everyone's life. So the way that we've structured the two pieces are, we've done the tri-board project, as Mary was saying, it's in the tri-board project, we're really bunkering down in 3 schools. We've got 20 elementary schools, 2 secondary schools that are involved with us. We've got the research component that we're learning from. But at the same time, we're building our bank of knowledge and understanding. And the contributions from across the province are helping to show new and better ways that we can actually understand and put into place the 12 principles and how we can learn from each other.
So just to add a little bit to what Elaine said in terms of spread and what we talked about this morning, 2 of the 3 boards I know because they've been in touch with us. One board has asked to bring on another 17 schools into the project. I don't know whether that would be healthy for us to do that at this point in time because of resources and the research piece. The other board wants to bring in 3 families of schools, which would be about another 40 schools into the project. So we did not publicize, it was the good work of knowledge building, knowledge forum that created the spread and the synergy. Now, just moving on to the website. This is our second iteration of a website. The first iteration of the website that we did, Elaine and I went out and thought around with people, thought around what would you need to know? What would teachers in the province of Ontario or elsewhere, if you wanted to become involved with knowledge building, what would be the kinds of things that would excite you and motivate you to work within knowledge building? So in the first iteration, we went out and found the blessed part of Ontario is many of our teachers are working within an inquiry mode. And some teachers have fallen pretty close to deep inquiry in their practice. And so we were able to find knowledge building teachers through Jackman, through Eric Jackman. We were able to find Richard, who helped us with many of the pieces first time through, and many other teachers who were involved in deep inquiry. And then we tried to link video segments to the principles. And we tried to provide that as an image. And when we brought our focus team of teachers together and said, what do you think? They said, wow, this is a really great website. However, if you're asking me what would I need as a teacher in terms of getting started and working with knowledge building, the 2 things that they said to us were, 1, we would like to see case studies of knowledge building, so video segments of knowledge building activities, much like the back end of natural curiosity. So that was one piece that the teachers asked for. The second piece that they asked for would be teachers who were involved in knowledge building being able to spin out some of the questions that they may, as a novice to knowledge building, have in their mind before they get started. Questions like, what does assessment look like in knowledge building? How do you get started with knowledge building? What is the relationship between the principles and classroom practice? And so if you could scroll down, please, on this website, and again, we're still in construction. On the left side of the website, left side, all of these are just sample pieces. But for example, the benefits of knowledge building, if you were to click on that, and Marlene and Richard in a suit, and teachers from Jackman, some students, and so on. So our model was we took the question and answer suggestion, and then if you could click back, please. And so we tried, and scroll down again, no.
Just down?
Yeah, down. But if you, no, back up, and if you could scroll back out to the, okay, no, that's fine. Okay, so then in here, these last two, Glenn Wagner, this is at grade 12, how does knowledge building work? And so what happens to student curiosity, why knowledge building? And then we move down into what Glenn did was he broke it down into stages of knowledge building to explain his thinking. And so we are now collecting case studies. The case studies were too big to have them just in one big package, so that's why we staged them. And if we'll go back up, we'll be able to see we have a connection to natural curiosity and a companion. Thank you very much to Eric Jackman for that. And of course, what's missing on this one is our link to iKit, which will have to go in here as well. And there are other pieces. I mean, there are resource pieces that will go in. But as, again, this is in our model what we're trying to do to help spread the knowledge building.
And Dennis, if I just may add one thing. In those 3 case studies, we wanted to create an image where primary, junior, and intermediate teachers could actually see what that journey looks like. And once teachers see it, they say to themselves, oh, I'm already doing that, or I'm doing a version of it, or I think I can try that, or I'm not really sure how to do it, and I want some help. And Ms. Marlene was so gracious in helping us with Monica this year, and Richard, lots of capacity building. So we had these webinars across the province, and through that, people got a sense of, oh, I can do this kind of work. And Monica, Dennis, and I, the Principal Association, went out and supported the 12 schools really intensively, along with the LSA schools across the province, to provide the support that teachers needed to even get started. Can we go to the slides for a minute there? We'll be really quick on these. Just information that we've talked about already. But what we did see, and Bruce was alluding to, we're having some research done right now, we're waiting for it, from the 3 boards that we've been working with. So we've decided, these are the 3 trends that we see that are coming out. We'll have more information to share later after we've met with the school boards and we see what the research components look like. Really high engagement and motivation. Teachers saying, I didn't realize my students could do that. We've all had that experience. And the other thing too is, I didn't know that this information was so interesting because when the kids pulled me in to pieces that were actually making a difference, I wanted to go home and learn more about it. We also found the sharing of ideas was really important through the use of knowledge forum. We've got some great examples of that as well. I don't think we have time to show the video, do we, Dennis?
14 minutes.
Yeah, actually, we could.
And then again, the spread and with the teachers to teachers, the principal learning teams, gathering information from knowledge forum that principals are using principal to principal to support each other. Through the knowledge forum, we wanted to show you a little clip and featuring Monica. And Monica working with students at the junior level as a teacher, and really bunkering down with the kids around the use of knowledge forum.
Knowledge forum. Forum is an online environment that supports knowledge building. It's another area for students to put their ideas, to play with ideas, for them to develop their ideas, and to support knowledge building discourse. So there's a variety of assessment tools that teachers can use on Knowledge Forum that can help students and teachers sort of take a bird's eye perspective of what's going on in their dialogue. So how can we look at this sort of complex knowledge space and look at it from a higher level and discuss where are the big ideas, where can we go next, are we advancing, where are my students progressing? To access the assessment tools, you just go to the top right. Yeah, to tools. And you'll click on that. So we'll look at lexical analysis first. What you can see is if you click onto it, right now just an empty dialog box opens, but we're looking at your human body view. So we can start typing in some concepts from the curriculum that you want your students to be using. So like you can use system, if you want to type it in, and then we'll look at it. So you click count word occurrences. Yeah. And so what you see on the left is the words again. You'll see how often they're being used, and then the source notes. And you can see in each note how many times that particular term is being used. So you can see whether your students are using key concepts in their dialogue. So what you do for the scaffold tracker is just going to give you an overview of all the different scaffolds your students are using. So you get sort of that bird's eye view of the discourse moves that are going on. So you can just click. You can't really see the entire list here, but yeah, there's a little list of all the different scaffolds, and you can click on them. Sure. Yeah, you can do more than one, two at a time, so you can compare. So this tool, like all the tools in Knowledge Forum, we're really trying to build them so that students and teachers can use them, so that it's not just for a teacher to reflect afterwards, but you can look at it together as a class or students individually to help understand what's going on in the dialogue. So you'll see their vocabulary getting richer as it goes up. Lexical analysis too, you can see the terms, you can hear your students using those terms when they're in their knowledge building circle, but it's another way to trace it in their writing. And then the scaffold support tracker can help you decide as a group what you should do next. Like you heard you say today, we're going to use a scaffold that we've never used before, and that's just to get more diversity of contribution. The theory is that the more diverse discourse is, you know, I have a question, I have some evidence, I have another challenging piece of evidence. The more diverse, the more likely you are to be able to advance it further. So there's a basic search that you see up here. You can type in one of your students' names. Okay, and then click go. So you can see here all of these contributions, and so you can see all the different types of contributions he's making, the scaffolds he's using, the different artifacts. You can also notice actually when you're looking at your vocabulary growth, you'll see that you can look at it monthly and weekly. And for your database, month 1 to month 2, it was, I think the total words went from 1,000 to 2,000. So there was an increase in the words, but 2 to 3 went from like 2,000 to 5,000. So as your students are getting used to the process and used to the program, and when you break that down weekly, it was even like you could see those in the week, it just boom. So the messiness is sort of like the first level process, right? All of those ideas get on there first, and then what can we do to move things forward? Knowledge Forum is not.
Monica.
And we have many clips like that we use, and that's a just-in-time kind of piece that we're using, where teachers who may not be familiar, but working on Knowledge Forum can go into any of these clips and learn a little bit more. So, and thank you to Richard and a number of people, obviously Monica, the teachers across the province that have contributed and asked us what the Q&A should be. Maybe what we can leave you with would be, this is the website, and any contributions that you can make or think about would be very much appreciated as we go into development mode. We would like to provide an opportunity or a space where teachers from around the world would be able to have a conversation with teachers around what they're doing in Knowledge Forum and building on the ideas, and provide us with feedback as to how can we make this website more interactive. And the more we know, the more refined the practice becomes, the better the iterative process will be to get the information out to be shared. And I think Dennis just reviewed these with you. We don't have a lot of time, but if we could leave you with this question to think about, and you'll see Dennis and anyone here, Linda, Mary, Jeanette, Monica, Richard, Elizabeth, people, Bruce in the room. If you could think about and maybe help us as we move forward. We described what the Tri-Board project looks like. Going into right now 10 elementary schools, 2 secondary schools, and 3 boards in Ontario. And students are using Knowledge Forum. Different technologies with it as it's being migrated, but we have schools that have actually used the programs. We've seen and teachers have seen improvement in students' thinking and their attention and their engagement and their excitement and their knowledge, and they're doing much better in third term than they have in the other 2 terms. If you can help us by giving us any advice as we move forward from your experience, we absolutely appreciate it, because we owe it to our students to do the best that we can do and do the best that we can do. And we will continue to contribute to the website. So if you come on, you can have a look at what we're doing in Ontario. And any ideas, as you know, all ideas are good ideas and all ideas are improvable. So if you can help us with a good idea or an improvable idea, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, one last thought. Also, please stop us during the week and give us feedback on this idea. It's a bit of a risk. We're building the idea around doing a documentary video segment on students as they move through knowledge building. So not from a teacher, not from a school, not from a system perspective, but from a student-parent perspective as it moves through. So it's a big risk to think about this for us because it's different. But we think it's kind of a great implementation strategy. It may not be. We'd like to hear from you around it. Thanks. Thank you.
Do we have a few minutes for discussion? 5-10 minutes, yeah? Done.
Yeah, if a school wanted to join this initiative, but their board had not yet joined, what would happen?
I think the question was, if a school wanted to join the initiative, but their board had not yet joined it,
Yes.
what would the process be? I think there are 2 different processes that are happening in Ontario. We have the leading student achievement. So most of our schools in Ontario are involved in leading student achievement. So there would be a link there. We also have the Tri-Board project, small, because it's a pre-pilot project right now. So we're working out some of the protocols, and we're trying to learn from before we spread. So if you are in Ontario, if you can come and talk to me about it, we can see what we can work out. We never try to turn anybody away, but we always try to figure out a way that we can work together on this. Okay? Thank you. Anyone else have questions for us?
I have a question in the context of other people who have built websites. So I'm just curious, how do you see the possibility of the websites connecting so that, like I'm just thinking, if you imagine the videos and websites, if you imagine the remote network schools, well, anyhow, it's really a question to the audience. I'm curious. People thought about that or have ideas.
Yes, I think it's a very good idea. Because all of us, we are making our websites for our own proposals in our countries, and why not to be in contact and to go through different websites and to see experiences and see interviews and see what the other teachers are saying, what the other experts are saying, what are doing our students in our classes, etc., etc. We have made that 10 years ago, and now we are making all the time these short videos, and of course we are a repertoire of that. No? And what I was thinking all the time is I am very happy, really, that now Ontario is engaged in Knowledge Fund, because when it was only you, Richard and Elizabeth, and you were doing that in your school, and in my country, in Catalonia, Barcelona, were many schools doing that, and not in Ontario, only in Quebec, no? And for that, I think congratulations, because you are here, and really, it's a nice, fantastic, real adventure, or a travel, or I don't know, trip, or I don't know what, to the knowledge. But this is fantastic, really. With all the difficulties, but you have Therese, you have Marlene, you have Carl, you have Monica, you have all these things. You have Richard and Elizabeth, and they are the best. And we are with you. We are in Ontario. We are not the ocean between, no? you are here. For that, I think, congratulations, Therese and Marlene and all of you from Ontario and from the Ministry of Education. Also, I started as a Ministry of Education because I was working at the time there. And for that, I can make big support to our principals, our associations, our inspectors. And we have made, after 2 years of the project, an external evaluation. Internal evaluation with applets, etc., but an external evaluation. And this year, after 10 years, our Ministry of Education is also making another external evaluation with more or less the same tools of the first time. And all this year, we are working on that. And in November, we will have the results. Next year, I will present you these results.
Tried out there to do something like a documentary like Dennis was talking about? This morning we talked about agency from a student's perspective. What does that look like? Has anyone done any work like that? You can help us with it. Any other questions?
You did something.
Oh, sorry. I was not in the floor. I was. Because you missed the questions. Yes, we have made a video with the support of our Ministry of Education and technicians. Very well done, really. Not only what we are doing now with our cameras in the classrooms, etc., a professional one, showing point of view of researchers. Therese was there. About evaluators, about people from the ministry, about principals, about teachers, about classrooms, and students, of course. Students were there explaining and doing several activities on knowledge building, and also parents were there explaining that. And we have this document, but at the same time, we present, and this is pieces by pieces, Susana La Rosa, because it was a very big one. Susana La Rosa cut this document in pieces, in little pieces, and you have this document, yeah. And we have this document somewhere in some database, because we have so many databases that at the end, I am lost. I don't know. This is one question that perhaps one day we can think about it. What to do with all this material we have at this moment, because it's so big and so.
It's actually, across the curriculum, from physics, from phys ed, from chemistry, from English. And one of the things that's happened over the years there are these just, you're lucky. You go someplace and a teacher tells you what you're doing, what they're doing, and what would have done? I mean, the arts. And I've just imagined a very intensive effort where we create all these meta tools so that the kids can see the big space. And I've been thinking, what if we apply these tools to ourselves so we could see the big space, that we could see across the websites. And and then a couple of things that actually just seeing you, Elizabeth, reminds me of a couple of teachers who said, oh yeah, I used to do it that way, and you still have that video up, but I'm doing something so much cooler now. And it would be neat if the teachers themselves told the history of what it is that they were doing. So you see it historically instead of right now, anybody would think that the first iteration was the best iteration. But that teachers moved on.
Yes. So I think it's a very good idea, because now we have teachers with a lot of years of experience, as teachers and in our country, there and there. And to make some interviews with them, explaining to the others what has been this long way, no? Yeah. Because now they are so confident, so proud. They know so much about knowledge building, and it was the second thing that I was to explain to you. Sorry. No. This year I have the High Academy of Sciences in my country invite us to give the last plenary session of the academic year about knowledge forum. And all the universities were there, all the faculties, etc., etc. And the teachers involved in knowledge forum for many years now, they present their work with the students and the principals and all the staff. No? It was a so successful presentation, but what was more significant for me is the confidence of teachers. Teachers explaining to professors of our university, psychological, pedagogical studies, etc., etc., explaining knowledge forum, but you know, with they know so much. They are so confident. They know kids. They know the results. They know the outlets. They know evaluation. They know all these things. That there is no. They were confident, not sin angustia, no? They were there so pleasant to communicate the results of the classes. And the students and parents were there also explaining as here, no? It was a successful, really a successful and brilliant session. And I was really very, very proud of these teachers and thank you, Maria, and Teres for this opportunity. Yeah?
Well, thank you. And now we go on the bus and we have fun. Everybody will find our way back.
Get you back.
Look at the red bus.
And you said you